kills for BDK Kid. Will he get the 5th one?
But a big shatter from Juco High takes
Big play from O again, putting the Jap in. Victus wins the match.
Massive blossom from Claws getting into the back
An
line.
impressive job there by Infuse Gaming. Really
Full hold for Careless Panda.
Alt F4 puts the close.
Crimson pick up a 3rd. Can he get a 4th?
First one will be rocking with the death blossom, pick up 1.
And now we see the Shadow Sepulchre triage coming down with the death blossom.
We got 3 on the point now, and inside.
Holy Jalapeno just rolled straight.
Freezing Maxis on the soldier.
That's Karma's gonna take up this victory.
That's on Flux picks up 3.
There will be Illusion.
Arise, finds 3 in the fight against
A full 6K for Shamanzi.
Finding 4 with the death blossom.
And now you better back down, cause I'm coming for you. Better back down, cause I'm coming for you. Better back down, cause I'm coming for you. Better back down, cause I'm coming for you.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Overwatch Tranquility. Tonight we have an exciting game for you all between One Last Ride and Eclipse. This is the last quarterfinal game of Discord tier and the first head-to-head matchup for these teams since week 1. I am your play-by-play caster for tonight, Bard, and I am joined by Vila on Analyst. What are your thoughts tonight, Vila?
Well, you know, Bard, I mean, it's a truly great time of year we're in. You know, we got Thanksgiving coming up, we got Christmas, we got the holidays, and at least in my mind, we are smack dab in the middle of a really underrated holiday, and that is Tranquility Playoff Overwatch. So I could not be more excited.
Couldn't agree more. We also have J-Star joining us on desk tonight. How you feeling tonight, J-Star?
I'm feeling great. It's definitely a very great time of year. We got the playoffs going on. Definitely two teams, like Vila said, haven't taken on each other they took on each other week 1. But these two teams have very, very different rosters from what we originally saw with them. Definitely going to be a great match, and I'm going to be very interested to see how everything goes tonight.
Could not agree more. For map 1 tonight, it looks like we are going into Ilios for control. It's a really interesting map. You know, what kind of comps do you think we're gonna see tonight, Vila?
Well, a lot of teams, you know, they're pretty different. You know, we've seen some pretty off-the-wall stuff. We're here on Well, so I would be very surprised if I saw something that wasn't Orisa Hog or Orisa Sigma. Probably not going to be a lot of interesting punches pulled here on this map. You know, teams are coming out. They're going to be testing the waters. They're probably going to want to play it safe. So I'm expecting some very, you know, pretty basic fundamental team comps coming out here, Bard.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good map for my favorite Pharah. So if we see a lot of that, I'm going to be happy. Our teams tonight. On One Last Ride, we have Poet, Modern Lion, Cairo, Saijuro. I'm going to mess that up at least once, so bear with me. Telmchikan, Overnight Coder, and Unkempt starting. On Eclipse, we have Rocket, Bubbers, Cryptic Force, 9-Volt, Bray, and Shoni Red starting. Looks like I was right. We do have a Pharah coming out for One Last Ride on Overnight Coder. Do you think that's going to be stopped by Shoni Red Soldier, or...
It's definitely questionable. I mean, it's going to be a situation to where you can get some pretty long sight lines as well as having to be fighting up close. It really depends on Coder and how well he uses the geometry around the point to his advantage. But now we see Shoni swapping to the McCree, which in my mind is definitely a significantly big upgrade as opposed to Soldier and trying to 1v1 a Pharah.
Right, we also see Eclipse has Orisa Sigma, while One Last Ride has Orisa Hogs. About to see how that plays out. Both teams are now coming to the point. Sigma Shield deployed first for both teams, and now Orisa Shield has been deployed. Oh, those fair rockets are raining down into the team, comboed with the Orisa Halt, but Cairo and Overnight Coder both get a pick on Shoni Red's McCree and 9-Volt's Lucio. They've got this advantage going in. Another great Orisa Halt to pull the damage in, but Telm on Roadhog gets pulled into the map. Overnight Coder equalizes, getting the off-tank of Cryptic Force's Sigma for Eclipse. They are chasing down Reaper through the inside. No team has had a clear advantage through this fight. Modern Lion on Orisa takes down Rocket's Reaper, and now One Last Ride's doing their best to take this, and they secure the point hold, so we might see Eclipse backing up. However, Bubbers has already gotten his Moira ult, pushing in with that, helping his team. The stun on Cairo by Shoni Red, and 2 picks are taken by Eclipse. Shoni Red takes down Cairo. He's traded by Unkempt, who gets another pick onto Cryptic Force. Modern Lion gets booped in by 9-Volt. Eclipse is taking this point back. kicking and screaming. Rocket takes down Unkempt. Overnight Coder, the last person alive on their team, gets the boop on Bray, and another pick onto 9volt. The Farah on her own is doing everything they can to keep this team into it. Reaper takes down Poet. No more mercy for the Farah. Cairo on Doomfist gets taken down, and now One Last Ride are backing up to regroup. What a fight.
Yeah, really great tank play so far. You know, we see One Last Ride coming out. They've definitely been practicing their auto combos. But the shield usage is coming out so far. Cryptic, his shield is everywhere it needs to be so far. And then big plays coming out from Rocket.
Absolutely. Another great halt coming in here from Modern Lion. Some damage is being laid down. Modern Lion uses that... no, my mistake. That is a Mercy ult being coming out, putting damage boost to the full team, while Bray actually uses their Orisa ult for the damage boost for Eclipse. Those Fair Rockets are being rained in, but no one is dying. Cairo, though, on Doomfist gets the pick onto Reaper. Another big pull. Sigma gets pulled into the well, but Telm is traded by Shoni Red's McCree ult, and 9volt boops Unkempt in right after they use their ult, and now both Farah and Mercy go down. Eclipse are holding strong on to this point. Tell me about those ults right there, Vila.
Oh, I mean, firstly, big play coming out from Shoni on that 3K. You know, seeing Rocket come in with a big play of his own, saying, hey, man, I can do that too. Don't forget about me here on this roster. Coming and getting a 3K on that McCree. But a big boot coming in from 9volt. You know, Unkempt, a really big coalescence coming out, but gets shut down immediately. Gigantic group into the well coming in here from Eclipse.
Absolutely, and it's interesting. One Last Ride seems to be getting the first pick on most of these fights, but they can never solidify the win with this double shield comp. This Farah Mercy, they're trying to put the damage in. Cairo gets those burst picks on Doomfist, but these shields are keeping their team up. They pull the Sigma One Last Ride do, but they don't capitalize on the pick. He doesn't get pulled in. Cairo gets a punch. He's going for the Meteor Strike on Doomfist, but Rocket in the back line uses his ult, takes down Modern Lions, Orisa, and Unkempt on Moira. Poet gets the res onto the Orisa, but they have another ult coming out. Cryptic Force gets Doomfist, and Telm gets booped into the pit by 9volt. Shoni takes down Modern Lions, Orisa, and now the Sigma ult is going in. It's just Mercy on the point. She is taken down. Poet, the last one to touch. Unkempt's trying his best, but he gets taken down right as he touches the point, and it looks like Eclipse are going to take round one of Ilios.
Yeah, you know, they did a fantastic job of playing around that Farah. You know, they didn't allow the sight lines. They kept behind that cover. They didn't allow the value to come in from that Farah up in the air. And then Rocket, you know, jumping and getting that 3K with the Death Blossom 9volt. The boosts were so big in the tank chemistry. It's so good. I mean, we see that Orisa shield. The timing of it is fantastic. It's going right up in the main choke. It's blocking all the damage it needs to. And Cryptic rotating that shield so well, whether it needs to be blocking that far, whether it was the Doomfist coming in on a flank angle. The shield management from the side of Eclipse has been massive so far.
Yeah, now you got to think we're going to see the double shield employed by One Last Ride here. And now they're running the Reaper Doomfist. They're just going to try and close quarters brawl this point is what it looks like. And the other team, Eclipse, is still keeping the McCree for Shoni Red. So they must have seen some good things, not necessarily worried too much about not having a Farah for that to counter. They do get to the point faster with their Lucio management. A big pull there from Bray stops the punch from coming in effectively. Cairo's now in on their team on Eclipse. Modern Lion gets Rocket the first pick. The Sigma takes down the Reaper, and now One Last Ride can push in. They're trying to get past these shields. That's a big pick from Overnight Coder. He takes down Shoni Red on McCree, but Cairo, gets pulled off by Bray, and Poet gets pushed off by Cryptic Force. Overnight Coder and Modern Lion, though, trade it back, getting the Orisa and the Moira, and now Sigma also dying for Eclipse, and Lucio gets taken down 9volt by Overnight Coder. One Last Ride once again takes the point first.
Yeah, and the way they engaged that was absolutely brilliant. The way they were just kind of staggering up one by one. We would see Poet. He would jump up on the front, try to get a boop, come back. We would see, Overnight Coder, you know, coming in with the punch. Then he's taking the frontline presence, and they're just moving in back and forth one by one, so nobody's really getting picked. And we already see both Moiras with their ultimates coming in this next fight here, Bard.
Yeah, Unkempt is going to start by using his first, and now it's traded by Bubbers. The Sigma ult, though, coming out, gets two members of Eclipse, and it takes down 9volt. Rocket trades onto Telmcan, but Cairo and Modern Lion take down both tanks for Eclipse. Overnight Coder takes down May on Shoni Red. Poet takes down Bubbers as Moira, and it's just Reaper left, but he gets booped off. Poet, two big picks to end that fight.
Yeah, the biggest thing I'm noticing is that One Last Ride fundamentally are playing a lot different this round than they did last round. They were a lot more, I don't want to say split, but they were a little more scattered last round. You know, you had the far up in the air, the Doomfist coming in on some flank angles. They weren't playing as a unit as much, and we see them just digging their heels into this point, and they've absolutely turned that playstyle around here, Bart.
Yeah, Overnight Coder on that signature Doomfist. Now Eclipse have to try and push into this with no ults left. They just built up the Sigma and the Lucio, but Shoney Red gets taken down by Modern Lion immediately. Cairo gets one pick with his ultimate, but Bubbers takes him down. Overnight Coder trades onto Bray, though, so there's no Orisa. Shield for Eclipse to push behind, and Rocket gets taken down by Unkemp's Moira, and Cryptic Force, they're just getting cleaned up by One Last Ride.
Yeah, the fight was over before it even started here, Bar. Shoney Red tried to punch in, Overnight Coder read him like a book, saw it coming perfectly, responded with the punch, got both of them stunned, but they were right in the middle of One Last Ride, so they were able to get that pick on the Doomfist, who's such an important hero in this meta, so Eclipse just had no chance of being able to get that point flip.
Yeah, now with 92%, Eclipse is pushing in to try and hold. They just have the Arista that they've committed. Oh, they get the beat, though. One Last Ride have the beat to counter any damage from that ult, but it doesn't matter. Overnight Coder gets taken down by Bubbers. Unkempt trades onto 9-Volt, but Rocket takes down the Mirrored Reaper on Cairo, and Cryptic Force with a huge ultimate takes down Unkempt and Modern Line and allows Rocket to clean up Telm while he cleans up Poet. Eclipse finally take the point.
Yeah, great play there coming out from Rocket. Truthfully, I'm not sure if he intentionally baited out that sound barrier. I don't know if I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt too much, but starting up on the rooftop, really jumping in. I thought he was going to go for the Death Blossom, just straight up, but ended up wraithing away, and Poet invests that sound barrier. Maybe got a little overconfident being in overtime, thinking that the sound barrier would be the ultimate that would clinch them the round. Sadly, not the case, and now they are in a huge disparagement here in the ult economy, Bard.
Yeah, One Last Ride now have to push in. Overnight Coder has built his ult to match Shoney Red's, but Rocket still has his ult. Modern Lion, though, has just built the Sigma ult. This could be comboed really well with this Doomfist ult coming in, but no, it doesn't look like they want to use it. Doomfist uses his ult to escape, but Rocket takes down Telmcan. They have nothing. Overnight Coder trades onto Shoney Red, though. It's a 5-for-5, but Modern Lion goes down. There's no tanks for One Last Ride. They've got to back up here, and they lose 3 more people while they try and escape. It looks like the whole team gets cleaned up.
Yeah, the fight really started from Rocket there, teleporting up to the top left-hand side, jumping in onto Telm, taking him down, and you lose your main tank. It's going to be a loss of the fight before it even starts. And then, on top of that, we saw Overnight get very suboptimal usage out of that Meteor Strike. Just kind of went and forced out all of his own abilities and used it to get back instead of maybe trying to combo with Telm on the pull like you see a lot of teams do. But coming in with the Sigma Flux here, Bard.
They're coming in with the Sigma ult. They don't get anyone with it, though. Shoney takes down Poet to start, and Rocket, who saved his ultimate from the last fight, takes down Unkempt. Telm, the only one on One Last Ride getting any picks, takes down Cryptic Force and then is forced to jump off of the map. One Last Ride's just getting cleaned up here.
Yeah, I think they're definitely pushing for ultimates right now, and they've been getting the better in the ult economy. You know, they're really forcing a lot of ultimates out of Eclipse. They're coming in. They're just kind of eco-pushing a little bit here, with the exception of that Meteor Strike we saw moments ago, but now it's clutch time. They're at 91%, and it's gonna be the Reaper teleport coming in from the top. Are they gonna be able to get down on the point and win this fight here, Bard?
Overnight Coder stuck in the backline as well, gets taken down by Rocket before the team even is pushed in with him. They commit the Moira ult to try and keep the team up and do damage, but the Sigma ult comes out from Eclipse. Cryptic Force ulting to help clean up the team. Rocket takes down Cairo on Reaper, and it's just 3 left. Cryptic Force takes down Unkempt, Modern Lion off the map, and Poet dies. Eclipse are going to take Helios.
Yeah, big surprise coming out here, Bard. I mean, One Last Ride coming in here 13-2, Eclipse at 9-6. And, the community, unsurprisingly, One Last Ride really being the favorite so far. It's very early on, but the big thing I'm noticing so far is that they're doing a good job when they are in control of the point and maintaining it. But once they're in a situation to where they're having to turn tables and they're having to come back and take control of the point when the opposing team have their heels dug in, it's not going well for them so far. So they're definitely have to go back to the drawing board, try to work on their attack, and see how they can go at this very stout Eclipse defensive setup.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. J-Star, do you have any thoughts for us while we're in the middle of maps?
Definitely a lot of things both teams did really well. One Last Ride on the first map of Helios, I believe those fights they did a really good job of denying Rocket getting any value on the Reaper. But once again, though, One Last Ride buckled because they didn't have that upfront damage that Eclipse had. One of the more unsung heroes that Eclipse had was Bray. Coming out with some of those massive pulls in order to set up Cryptic Force and enabled a lot of the DPS to do their thing. So it's definitely going to be interesting, guys, what's going to go on from here on out.
Agreed, and I gotta say, One Last Ride looked a lot stronger with the Orisa Sigma than they did with the Orisa Hog. You've got to wonder if things might have gone differently had they started with the double shield.
I don't know, the double shield coming out from Eclipse so far is so strong. Like I mentioned on the cycling and the prioritization coming out from both their Orisa and their Sigma is just so strong right now. They understand how to play this meta. Put the Orisa down the main choke inside that main alley of damage where it's going to be coming through. Use that Sigma shield as the rotational shield to block off other sources of damage. Again, like a Pharah or a Widowmaker coming in, and they understand that beautifully. Cryptic is throwing the shield up, getting some shots out, putting it down, really conserving the HP on that shield. And it's that tank play that, like J-Star said, it's really opening up the DPS play coming out from Shoni Red and Rocket. And I'm really excited to see what Eclipse do coming into the second match.
Yeah, and this second match is going to be our Assault match. It looks like it's going to be Volskaya as we come into it. Anything interesting about this map that might change how the teams play, or do you think we're going to see a lot of that standard double shield meta?
Well, Volskaya, you see a lot of interesting comps. You might see some Bastion bunkers. Some teams like to run some sim strats. We'll see some pharmacy. Sometimes, two of these run at the same time. And so now these teams have kind of had a moment to test the waters and feel each other out. I would not be surprised to see, a little more of a, as some would call it, a cheesy or a cheeky comp coming out from either one of these offensive sides in particular.
I wouldn't be surprised either. It looks like we're not going to have any comp changes by the teams. Not surprising from Eclipse, who only have 6 members. But One Last Ride seemed to be pretty confident. Oh, never mind. I'm blind.
Falcon.
Hashtag blame Bard. Falcon is coming in for One Last Ride to play that off tank. No more Telm can. So we're going to have to see if he might be a specialist off tank for them for a specific comp that they might be running.
Yeah, we had an opportunity to sit down with both the captains of these teams, and Modern Lion was just so high on Falcon, saying how his comms were so good. He's a big reason why the team has been able to be so successful throughout the season, coming in toward the end. Excuse me, because Falcon wasn't with the team the entire season, but really praising his comms, saying he fits into the team so well. He's such a dynamic player, and really kind of a leadership presence coming in here.
Yeah, maybe they made that swap because they figured with a little more coordination and that extra leadership, their team play might be able to be a bit more solid against the seemingly unbreakable wall of an Eclipse defense.
Yeah, definitely understandable why they're switching up the comp here. Not like any way that Telm played poorly whatsoever, but you drop the first map, both maps back to back. You're not really able to de-seat Eclipse from the point, so not surprising whatsoever that they're subbing in a new player here. And so far, we're really not seeing incredibly interesting stuff coming out from the defensive side of One Last Ride, which is not surprising. Usually on the defensive side, you want to play it pretty safe. You don't really have the opportunity to go back and change heroes and get multiple chances like the attacking team does. But we see the May coming out here from Eclipse here, Bard.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, we have Baptiste for Poet instead of Lucio. Right now, it looks like Eclipse is trying to push in that left side. A good halt coming out from Falcon to slow the team down. Rocket teleports up top, forces the Hanzo back for Overnight Coder, while Bray pushes in, gets that first pick on Falcon. That eye field is not going to make much of a difference for One Last Ride. They're just getting shredded right now by Eclipse, who's pushing in, doing more than enough damage with Rocket on that Reaper, and they've already taken point 1.
Just beautiful diagnosis coming up to start. Eclipse really showing their game sense. They read it so well, so quickly coming out of the gate. They see the rotation that One Last Ride want to make over to the back. They don't let it happen. Shoni Red puts up that wall. They isolate Falcon. They get the kill. And then we see them taking Overnight Coder off that high ground where Hanzo would love to just rain in arrows. They deny him that space, deny him that high ground, get him out of that area, and they're able to get that point so quickly. And they're already going to have Coalescence coming into this next fight here, Bart.
Interestingly enough, though, Coder is going to have his ult as they push in. They're using that Sigma shield to start the engage with a pull that lets Rocket get into a good position. Rocket takes down Overnight Coder's Hanzo, who still manages to get his ult out. Cairo trades onto Shoni Red's Mei. The eye field went down, but is now already destroyed by Bray. While Unkempt commits his Moira ult to this, Cairo takes down Cryptic on Sigma, and they are fighting to keep a hold of this point. Both shields still up for one last ride, allowing Cairo to push in and just get a clean triple kill, getting both healers and Reaper, and they managed to hold this point much better than point A.
Yeah, you know, a quick diagnosis also coming out here from Cairo for the side of one last ride. You know, they lose Overnight Coder so quickly. It looks very promising for Eclipse, but Cairo, he comes onto the point on that Reaper. He just completely reads the side of Eclipse like a book, seeing who the most valuable target is, who is the most isolated we can get a kill on, and he able to get 3 or 4 in that fight.
Oh, they commit the Baptiste ult right as Modern Lion takes down Bray, which could have ended the fight before the ult was needed. The eye field's also committed, not being taken down, which allows Cairo, Overnight Coder, and Unkempt and Modern Lion all working together to just clean this team up.
Yeah,
Cairo
really good
was allowed to
engagement.
sit in that eye field for so long because they refused to break it.
Yeah, good planning and engagement coming out from the side of one last ride. They're really only able to use that Ant Matrix, and it really ends up being enough. But now look at this. You're going to have 6 ultimates coming from the side of Eclipse, so I really want to see how they're going to use these coming in here.
Yeah, it's going to be 6 versus the 4 on one last ride as this fight starts. They immediately engage with the Moira ult and the Orisa ult, while the Sigma trades, but Rocket with a huge ultimate. Him and Shoni Red, that's all 6 members of one last ride cleaned up, and they're going to take point B before anyone can touch for one last ride.
Yes, they are able to get that point. 353 in the bank. Solid attacking round coming out from Eclipse. You know, not surprising. You know, when you go into a team fight in a situation like that and you dump 6 ultimates onto the head of the opponent, not surprising you're going to be able to get that point. But, you know, one last ride, they're going to really have to try to find an answer for Rocket here. You know, he's playing this flanking playstyle on the Reaper. You know, Reaper, some people consider him boring, but he's one of my favorite heroes in this meta because he can be played in so many ways. You see some people, they're very team-centric. They're playing behind the shield. They're kind of coming in, doing that damage right up with their team and their tank line. And then you have players like Rocket. They're doing this flanking playstyle, this very fancy stuff. They're looking for these openings, playing this very slippery playstyle, and it's not the first time already. You know, just on the second map, they've been able to come in and get a big ultimate off of flanking Reaper play. So one last ride, they're really gonna have to watch their flanks a little better. Communication is gonna be a little more stout, and they're gonna need to find some answer for him coming into the second round, or else it's gonna be a long night for them.
Yeah, really interestingly too, Eclipse seemed to have changed up their battle strategy in terms of the pace that they want to play. On Ilios, they really played that slow, methodical pace, allowing one last ride to make mistakes. But on Volskaya, they're taking the initiative. They've pushed straight through shields to get these picks. It seems like they knew how one last ride wanted to counter their game style and just immediately played against it.
Couldn't agree more. On Ilios, they had a more, you know, pensive, prodding play style. And here on Volskaya, you know, they really understand how to play attack here. They're coming in aggressive. They're not letting one last ride get comfortable. And that is the biggest thing and why they're having so much success here so far. And now we see the Junkrat coming out on attack here for one last ride.
Yeah, Junkrat has a lot of this shield break potential that comboed with Cairo's Reaper really can help them push right through the Orisa Sigma shield combo that's been giving them so much trouble. Speaking of, they push through, but a great pull there from Bray on Orisa stops the team from having that momentum they needed going into the first fight. Cairo, though, just gets in and brawls with Rocket, takes him down with the help of Bray. And now, a great pull to get them back into position, but the Mei wall slows one last ride down before they can get that set up properly, and they get the new Orisa shield, but they're back in. Modern Lion taken down by Bray's Orisa, though. Eclipse has evened it up. Overnight Coder takes down Cryptic. There's no Sigma for either team. Bray trades onto Falcon, and Cairo and Overnight Coder take down the tanks for Eclipse. Unkempt jumps off the map instead of dying to that tire, and so Overnight Coder commits it onto Rocket, and another fast point A take.
Yeah, you know, it looked a little dicey for one last ride in that fight, but the engagement was so clean. They understood the way that Eclipse wanted to play it. They came in with the shield with the perfect position to block off all damage coming up that main choke. The speed boost from Poet was perfectly timed, and of course the DPS, you know, both Overnight Coder and Kai were really popping out there, getting the kills, dealing the damage, doing their jobs, and really helping secure that first push. And now, just like Eclipse with their first attacking round, they will have the coalescence coming here with this first fight.
Yeah, interestingly enough, that's going to be the second ult of this round. They committed immediately a great pull from Falcon to push Eclipse together into each other. Rocket tried to get behind and do some damage, but he's forced back into his shield. The Mei ult comes out, though. Both tanks are going to get frozen and taken down for One Last Ride. Eclipse used that ult perfectly to slow down the push from One Last Ride, and now they're forced to back up.
Yeah, good Blizzard coming out there from Shony Red, making sure that that Modern didn't have the ability to eat that ultimate. Similar how do you freeze Diva, making sure they don't have that eat ability really coming in with that Blizzard. But One Last Ride also trading pretty well. They swapped that Moira ultimate in exchange for the Blizzard, so definitely a trade they'll take 9 times out of 10, and they are going to have the Death Blossom and almost a sound barrier coming into this to match 9 volts.
Yeah, 9-volt Bray. However, Bubbers and Cryptic are both going to have their ults soon too. Coder and Falcon might be able to match that, but it's going to be 2 different sets of ults. Oh, Cairo in the backline with that ult. He gets 9-volt before he can commit his ult. Coder with 2 big picks. Shony Red's the last person alive for Eclipse, and they're taken down. That's all 6 members of Eclipse dead. Are they going to be able to touch here? It's going to be 9-volt's Lucio who might have the chance. If Falcon has a good pull, though, they may not be able to touch. They do. Eclipse comes out there with the Lucio ult. Falcon trades 9-volt, but that's 3 picks for Eclipse, taking down both healers to start. And they roll over with 1% left for One Last Ride to take that.
Yeah, just a measly 1.5. I mean, this is why patience is so vital in the game of Overwatch here, Bard. Eclipse, a lot of teams in this situation, they panic. They start just diving onto the point. They get into that mentality of, I have to contest, I gotta touch the point. But Eclipse, they play it patiently. They give up the ticks. They come back in. They get the picks, and they're able to turn it around. This is the trademark of an elite team that has fantastic defenses.
So many ults were committed. Now, Unkempt coming in with that Moira ult to help Modern build his up. Unkempt has been doing great. That Sigma ult picks up 2. Can he get the picks with it? He does. Cryptic and Rocket both taken down. All they need to take is 1 tick, so that's 4 big picks for One Last Ride, and it's again just their Moira left over after that Blizzard is used. Can't you stay alive? No, it looks like this time One Last Ride will probably be able to take this point, and they do with 50 less seconds than Eclipse.
Have One Last Ride been listening in on us, Pard? Because the exact things we were mentioning about not being able to de-seat Eclipse when they have their heels dug into a point, not being able so far to counter Rocket on the flanking Reaper, on that attacking round, they do both of those so well. They shut down Rocket on point A. They get it second try on point B after a very promising first try. And, it's looking like a different team so far. Their attack, just in general, has been absolutely phenomenal. Now we just need to see if they're going to be able to get their defense together.
Interesting reversal from Ilios when we saw in Lighthouse how One Last Ride, once they had their heels dug in, could really hold. And now they're completely opposite. Their attack is their strongest point. They're pushing through, breaking those shields, and building ults so quickly. And now Overnight Coder's going to be running Sim on defense. How do you think they're going to use that? Oh, on offense, sorry. How do you think they're going to use that?
Well, you have a couple different spots you could use. You might see a far left, cheeky teleport strat. We might see them go in on one side of the tanker in the choke to try to get around to the left or right-hand side, maybe onto the high ground. But, normally I would be kind of against what Eclipse are doing right now with the very defensive setup, giving up a lot of space. But against the Symmetra, this is actually going to be really good because now they're not going to be too far ahead. They're not going to be forced to take a very quick rotation to have to react to that Sim teleport. They're going to be a little closer to the point. The rotation is going to be a lot easier, and they're going to be much better equipped and more ready to deal with whatever One Last Ride throw at them.
Yeah, and there it is. Play. They're coming around the left. They're One Last Ride already on point. Another big halt from Falcon gets the enemy team in position, and there's no shields left for Eclipse to play behind. This Sim damage had built so high, but she just gets taken down by Rocket, who realizes he can't flank, so he's just frontlining to take down the enemy team. Cairo trades onto Shony Red's Mei, but they're already forced to retreat One Last Ride. They have to get out of there, and Cairo gets taken down by Rocket before they can escape. A clean defense by Eclipse right there.
Yeah, big thing there was Modern, whipping that accretion, but Cryptic was able to nail his in combination with that Mei wall. So they were able to jump in and get that kill onto Overnight playing that Sim. And it's just another good understanding of the meta. The Sim is so important playing against this double shield. They knew they had to get the kill before the damage came in and bit them in the rear end. And that's exactly what they do.
Yeah, and now Overnight Coder swapped to Mei to mirror the comp of Eclipse. They're going to push in this right side that worked from the first time. Rocket, though, is above them. He's looking for that ult. Unkempt starts with his ultimate on Moira, and Cairo takes down Shoni Red's Mace. That stall potential's not there. Rocket gets taken down. There's no DPS for Eclipse, but the heroes they have left still can do a lot of damage. Cairo, takes down 9-Volt, though, still, and Bubbers. There's no heals either. They commit that Lucio ult. Maybe a bit of an overcommitment, but they do manage to take point A.
One that he's going to want back. They're going to have about 1:10, give or take, when they go to attack point B. And, they're going to need that sound barrier because, look, they're going to be up against both a Death Blossom and a Supercharger. And 9-Volt, he's already 85% on his sound barrier. Definitely one that Poet's going to want back.
Yeah, we'll have to see how they engage, though. Cairo, Modern Lion, and Falcon all could build their ult here. And we've seen Unkempt build ults really fast. As they push in, it looks like they're moving around this left side, a bit of an unorthodox push. They're in left building, and now they are coming out onto the point. That Mei wall's really good. It traps Mei and Reaper behind it. 9-Volt, though, gets taken out before he can commit his ult. So Bray uses his, and Rocket in the backline gets 3 huge picks, both DPSs and Poet. As they take this fight, Modern Lion is the last person left in, and he's taken down by the enemy Sigma of Cryptic Force.
I'm not normally one to say that somebody carried a fight or they made a big individual play unless it's blatantly obvious. I believe you win and lose as a team, but Rocket really made a hero play there. The wall coming in from Coder was fantastic. They got the isolation, they got the kill. The flux coming from Modern was absolutely phenomenal. But then you see Rocket jumping into the backline for the 3rd time and getting a multi-kill, just absolutely saving that point on the side of Eclipse. But they're really going to be behind in the sense of ult economy coming into this fight with 25 seconds left. It's going to be all on 9-Volt. How is he going to get the value out of that sound barrier coming into this fight?
Oh, they commit the Orisa ult to start. He goes right for it before seeing an ult. Cairo uses his ult alongside it. Only gets Rocket with it, though, due to that sound barrier. But they're cleaning up. Cairo and Unkempt working together. Cairo 4 picks, and Falcon gets the 6th. They might take point B. I know I said it last time, and they managed to touch on time, but I think they might take this. Cairo's playing that doorway into the spawn, and they get booped away. One last ride, take it with no time left.
Yeah, great engagement there. You come in, and Death Blossom was absolutely everything that they needed. Got frozen, fairly quickly. Shoni doing his absolute best on the Mei, anticipating it, but it really came down to 9-Volt on that sound barrier, using it so quickly on the engagement. So that way, the second it was over, one last ride, they could just completely throw in their ultimates. They could throw in the Sigma ult. They could throw in that Death Blossom, and they just, with sheer ult economy and willpower, are able to take that back. But they have 0 seconds on the clock. But Eclipse, they still have a lot of time to try to get these 2 points here, Bart.
Yeah, almost 4 minutes, and we saw how quickly they took it that first round. So how is One Last Ride going to make changes to accommodate and maybe adapt to that original push? It doesn't look like either team has made any big changes to their compositions yet. Overnight Coder and Poet yet to make a choice, however. It seems like they might be having some serious deliberations. Bubbers, do you think he's actually coming out on that Baptiste? I don't think so.
It's definitely possible. With this kind of team comp, I would doubt it. This comp is very strong for the AoE healing. So, you have and there is the swap to Moira. The AoE healing is so vital. We see the Torb, not sure if they're going to stay. They will not going to that Mei. Not going to debate me on that, but we would have loved to see some Torbjorn action coming in, some Swedish action coming on this first point here on Volskaya. But a very tame comp coming out from One Last Ride again on the defense, not too surprising. And now we see the rotation, the teleport coming up to the top here, Bart.
Rocket, he's been wanting to play that top this whole time, and now coming from this left side of point are Eclipse. They really want to get in there. That Mind, though, from Overnight Coder is a real disruptor. It's raining in damage on these shields. They aren't managing to keep them up for too long. Rocket trying to get in, make another hero play on his own. 9-Volt, though, is the one who makes that first pick, gets Poets, Lucio. Lucio on Lucio action is taken down, and now the freezes from Shoni Red are huge. 3 people frozen there. Unkempt and Cairo, the last 2 men standing. They try and even that out, but no, point A already taken by Eclipse.
Yeah, a little bit of questionable positioning there from Poet. You know, he's been very aggro on this Lucio. He is a specialist on that hero. And, you know, ends up getting punished by 9-Volt, who's already going to have the sound barrier going into this. That is crazy. That is insane ult charge build for Lucio right now off 1 fight. And now they're going to be coming in, and this is going to be a huge ult economy advantage they're going to have coming into this. And now we're going to see the swap to the Doomfist for that burst damage coming in here for one last ride.
Oh, but Eclipse is already pushing in. Rocket going for that another TP behind. He is behind and above. Coder is watching for him, trying to get that pick. They know he can't have an ult yet, so they're committing their Moira ult to try and keep their team up. Our one last ride. Unkempt. Overnight Coder's trapped behind that Mei wall, though, so the team can push in. Eclipse now trying to push in. Rocket really going for some picks there, and finally he gets Overnight Coder, but Falcon trades him out. But the Mei ult is committed. Cairo lucky enough to have his ult. He gets pulled back by Bray. Bray's ult ability pulls back Cairo with his ult and allows him to stay in the fight and get the Mei. Poet and Falcon now clean up both supports while Unkept comes in and gets Bray down. That is a costly mistake for Bray.
Poet, the hero. It looked like Eclipse had him dead to rights. The Mei Blizzard came out, and it looks like they were finally going to be able to take it. But Poet, understanding that if he uses that sound barrier so early on, it's just gonna fade away. It's just gonna wear off, and they're gonna get the kills. He's able to save it to the last possible second. The timing was absolutely perfect, and they were able to hold that point.
However, Eclipse now have the ult economy, and we've seen them push right through with these ults. They start with that Orisa ult, and now
Rocket on the flank.
Sigma ult gets 3 to manage to get out, but Rocket with another 3k ult, 4k ult as he takes down Cairo, and that's going to be point B with more than a minute left for Eclipse. One last ride is going to be playing for a draw now.
Yeah, it was once again Rocket initiating that fight, coming around the right-hand side. And Kempt was all on their lonesome, off to the side, away from the team. Not sure what they were doing out there. Not sure if they maybe saw something, went to go try to bracket that Reaper. Not something I would recommend. And Rocket punishes them for it. And then he comes in with that Death Blossom. No AoE healing coming out from the side of one last ride. And they're able to get that point easy, combined with other ultimates and their economy. And like you said, they're going to be playing for a draw now. So Eclipse, it's guaranteed they're going to maintain the lead coming in here. But it should be noted that you need to win these matches, not draw, to be able to really clinch the series. You need 4 wins. It's not best of 7, it is first to 4.
Yeah, that is fortunate enough for one last ride that they get even this opportunity to not go down 2-0 this early. However, 3 maps in, being down 1-0 is still going to be just as hard, so they have to take this draw if they can secure it as a win, or that mental game might not go in their favor.
Oh, absolutely. I mentioned earlier that both sides were very confident about their chances of winning, and they were not holding back. Modern Lion, with one last ride, was saying that they thought they were going to take this game 4-1, or at the very worst of 4-2 if they had a bad day. And look already, they're already at a huge risk of going down 2-0. So not the way they thought this game was going to open up for them whatsoever. But we are going to see the Pharmacy here on defense, and then a very standard attacking composition coming out for the side of Eclipse.
Yeah, and Eclipse playing this left side again, pushing Modern Line out of position. A huge halt, lets Rocket get into the team.
Aggressive. That
I field goes up, though, manages to keep the tanks alive while Rocket goes in. However, Rocket, just huge picks, takes down Cairo already. They go for the res to keep Unkempt up, but Poet dies for it. On Mercy, Modern Lion taken down on Sigma by Bray. Bubbers takes down Overnight Coder. That Moira has so much range, and Eclipse is going to win map 2.
Yeah, one last ride. Not entirely sure what their plan was with their defensive positioning. They gave up so much space. I mean, Eclipse, they were able to turn the corner and get on point absolutely free, taking little to no damage. And then which means they still have their speed boost. They're amp it up from 9-volt at the ready. So they come around. They see if they have so much space. They take the left-hand side. They see if they have the pharmacy up in the air. And if they have the advantage 6-on-4, they speed boost into them. They are able to get the picks on the tanks. And just a beautiful engagement coming out from Eclipse to be able to secure this match, or excuse me, this map, and go up 2-0.
Yeah, that was a lot closer than Ilios was. A lot of back and forth, some big plays from both sides. I've been really impressed by Cairo so far, who has really been shining on that Reaper, and had enough impact on Doomfist for Will to have, for Will to be closer, but Rocket, man, he's just been coming in here, huge plays, harassing the backline, exactly how you have to be playing Reaper to win these matches, and he's just been doing it to a T.
Absolutely, he's playing that play style, and it's very feast or famine, but we've seen a lot of feasting coming out from Rocket here so far. But, all these DPS players so far are playing very well. Shoney Red, the Maywalls have been absolutely fantastic. The Doomfist earlier on that we saw was really good. Their ability to understand the hero, cycling those abilities, was working out absolutely fantastic. And even for the side of One Last Ride, we saw Cairo, as you mentioned, playing that Reaper also very well at a similar level that Rocket was playing, opening up the team, getting some multi-kills from time to time. Then Overnight Coder, seeing so many heroes coming out already. We're seeing the Hanzo, we're seeing the Doom, we're seeing the Mei. So versatile on these DPS heroes, these projectile heroes, excuse me. And, they're not out of this game whatsoever.
Yeah, and J-Star, you're here on desk for us. Is there anything we're missing? What are you seeing that's really swinging these matches, do you think?
Eclipse is 100% controlling the speed of the game. They are controlling the pace, which is exactly what they need to do, and that is exactly what they're doing. Once again, Rocket, they really need to find an answer for Rocket. One Last Ride does. And honestly, they are trying, but they can't find one. So, and with that being said, though, Eclipse is also controlling the ult game. They had one fight really where they looked like they were out ulted, and that was the last fight of point 2. And with that being said, though, other than that, Eclipse is really controlling this game.
Could not agree more. They're coming in with a very dominant play style, allowing for this tempo control, like you've said, to just fall right into their hands. And you've got to look to One Last Ride now. They have to find their key to success, their way to bring back that pace control without just constantly swapping to counters. And how do you think they could get that done, either of you?
So I think that the way that One Last Ride needs to do is try to run a little more of off meta DPS, like run a McCree. You saw Shoney Red running on Ilios well, play it really well. Yes, he did end up swapping off of it, but it still gave One Last Ride a really hard time initiating on the characters that like to be in up and close, like the Doomfist and the Reaper. So I think if One Last Ride is able to get a stun hero out more than just a Sigma stun, then it'll One Last Ride will have an easier time dealing with Rocket.
Yeah, I've got to agree. There's not a lot of crowd control really coming out for One Last Ride. Where Eclipse, they're coming in with that Mei freeze, the Mei walls. Those Sigma stuns are consistently on point. Bray has had so many halts that have siphoned One Last Ride right into where the team wants to push in. Why do you think One Last Ride aren't bringing out more of these control heroes?
I think because they have a plan, they know what works for them, and they are running with what they know works. If they need to switch something up because something is not working, because obviously Shoney Red's running that Mei to perfection, and they need to do something to counter Shoney Red and Rocket, because those two are just running all over them.
Yeah, we saw the Junkrat Vila for Overnight Coder. Do you think with Kairo's Reaper, if Coder pulls out another hero like Junkrat with that huge burst damage potential, they might be able to swing this pace back in their direction with that huge amount of shield break and the fast damage capability on those quick pushes?
It's certainly possible. When we saw Overnight Coder go that Junkrat, he absolutely popped off attacking point A on Volskaya, and they're going to need an answer for these shields because, as I mentioned earlier, not only is Bray playing well, but Cryptic, the shield cycling is just so phenomenal on his behalf. Like I said, it's everywhere it needs to be. The biggest example I can think of was when they were on their last attack on point B on Volskaya. You know, Rocket got a little over aggressive trying to punish somebody, and then they started to jump on him. He immediately read it, diagnosed the situation, got on the shield, and accretioned somebody who was trying to focus him down. So just the ability usage from Cryptic has been absolutely wonderful. And I don't think that's going to change whatsoever, but we do see, most likely going to change, but we see him on that Winston so far. Doubt we're going to see that. We might. I would love to see a dive coming out here.
I think it'd be absolutely incredible to see a dive coming out here, but if I'm Eclipse right now, you gotta think you're in the heads of One Last Ride, and a risky comp like this might give them time to build their confidence back.
Absolutely, it's definitely possible, and they do end up switching. They read the comp of One Last Ride a little bit. They decide to play it safe, which is very understandable. They've been winning the mirror matchup so far.
Oh, we've got the mirror matches, but Shoney coming in with those freezes. Both Sigmas are frozen. This is such a big fight. Falcon, who's now playing DPS, while Cairo has swapped over to the Moira. Falcon with 3 huge picks on Reaper. Where's this man been? Unkempt in town, both cleaning this up. Falcon, a jack of all trades, as it seems, and a master of Reaper, takes down 3 big starting picks.
Ladies and gentlemen of Trank, there is a new Reaper in town. Falcon coming out, very first engagement, getting 3. The value out of the May was also very good from Coder. The wall was fantastic. The shield, not the shield, I'm sorry. The freeze prioritization was great, but now they're coming back in here. Is Eclipse.
Oh, the dueling Moira ults. We've seen it so many times, and right now, no one managing picks. Both Wraiths used, both walls used, both Sigmas frozen, but now One Last Ride get their wall back faster and are able to siphon the entirety of Eclipse into one spot, getting this May ult faster than Eclipse, and that's both tanks frozen again. Every time we've seen a Blizzard so far, we've seen both tanks getting frozen. Modern Lion getting 3 big picks there, just sitting in the Blizzard and taking down the enemy tanks. And Bubbers gets cleaned up at the end. That was a clean hold from One Last Ride.
Yeah, showing not a lot of value out of that May wall. Tried to isolate both Cairo and Overnight Coder, who were playing around the hotel side, but, you know, it being not in a choke area, they're able to just walk right around it, and now they're going to engage with the Supercharger and another wall coming out here.
A huge Supercharger. Cairo gets the first pick. Falcon, again, just this consistent Reaper threat. Rocket is not able to get in against him. Both tanks being taken down. Modern Lion now takes down Shoney Red's May. It's a completely different team coming out of here from One Last Ride.
Yeah, you know, we've talked about their defense and how it's been, you know, pretty lagging so far, and you know, pretty much every time when they were on point A on Volskaya, as well when they were when they were defending on Ilios, excuse me, you know, really getting DC'd pretty quickly, but they've been so much better so far. Now we see the ultimates finally coming out from Eclipse here, Bard.
Commits his ult but gets nothing. The beat comes in before the Sigma ult, so it doesn't counter it quite as hard. But however, the counter Sigma ult comes out from Eclipse. Cryptic, or not Cryptic, sorry, Modern Lion and Talon both get caught, and then Rocket says, anything you can do, I can do better. 5 kills with that Reaper ult, and they clean up the point finally for Eclipse.
And look at how many ultimates One Last Ride used there. They had just about everything on the board, and they get nothing. I mean, Eclipse, they had a lot of ultimates at their disposal as well. Rocket playing very intelligently, understanding to let those ultimates get out of the bag of One Last Ride and then coming with that Death Blossom. Very smart play on his behalf.
Yeah, now Eclipse, they can afford to play a super aggressive Coder. Coming in on Doomfist against these freezes that have been stopping him, he instead takes out Shoney Red and gets Bubbers on a huge punch. Cairo takes out Cryptic Forces Sigma as they push in here. A great halt From Telmcan, let's Unkempt capitalize and take down 9-Volt. You know, we took Poet out, and Unkempt says, I can play Lucio too.
Yeah, Bubber's using that fade kind of aggressively to go in, and then when they get pushed back on their heels, he didn't have it to get out, so it was just a really easy kill for Overnight Coder. And now we see the Maywall already being invested.
Rocket uses the Maywall to sneak behind. So much damage he's allowed to put in for free without needing his Wraith. He takes down Modern Lion Sigma. That's such a smart play. He goes up top. Now Unkempt committed his ult, but gets frozen out of it. Sorry, Cairo committed his ult and gets frozen out of it. Unkempt gets taken down by Bubber's ult, and Coder gets frozen on that punch and taken down. The whole team, One Last Ride, just gets cleaned up there.
Yeah, and One Last Ride, I just don't get it at this point. It's been 3 maps. You know, tendencies get revealed in people's playstyles as the game goes on. And we have seen Rocket time and time again, and just time and time again, the flanks are working out perfectly. I mean, One Last Ride, I'm not tracking what's going on with the comm situation and with the cognizance situation over on that side. And now Rocket, this is already rough. He's up on the high ground and he's got that Death Blossom.
Oh, they get the freeze. Rocket gets pushed down, but the freeze is in. Is he going to commit his ult? No, they take down Telm early. They commit.
They want to commit.
One Last Ride commits the barrier, and then they take down Bray. That is a counter pick, but Sigma, Cryptic Force, and Rocket team up. Falcon gets both healers in the backline, however, but he is alone. He takes down Rocket. Not a lot of damage there for them. He takes down Shoni Red too. He almost gets all 5, but Cryptic Force manages to melee him out of it and secure the point. That was so close.
Yeah, Cryptic coming in here to the playoffs in this first match, continuing to impress. Falcon almost making the hero plays there. And the ult tracking for Eclipse was just far more superior. They understood how to stagger those ultimates, how to come in with those combos. In One Last Ride, they thought they'd come in with that sound barrier. They thought Eclipse were maybe out of gas, and they tried to come in, and it just did not work out for them.
Rocket forced down off that high ground. They use the Orisa ult to do One Last Ride. Overnight Coder and Falcon find a pair of picks on Rocket's Reaper and Cryptic Force's Sigma. Now Modern Lion takes down Bray. Cairo committed his ult a little late there, but they managed to clean up the entirety of Eclipse. One Last Ride used 2 ults to hold that against the 0 ults used for Eclipse.
Yeah, definitely big engagement if you think about it from that perspective. But, you know, still, it's sometimes worth it, I think, to be able to do that just to, you know, get a sign of life in there, get your pulse back. Because, you know, if you try to hold onto those ultimates, you just keep losing ground, and then it's too little too late. And now we see more ultimates being invested. The sound barrier coming in here, Bard.
They forced them to commit the sound barrier with that Sigma ult. Rocket, though, up on the high ground. Overnight Coder takes down Shoni, though, before Rocket can get anything done. And that Maywall doesn't actually help when it's left up. Rocket gets taken down. So does Cryptic Force on Sigma. One Last Ride, Falcon, once again, putting the team on his shoulders and just cleaning up to keep them in this.
Yeah, that was his 3rd multi-kill of this round alone. And we see Shoni Red go down very early on that May. You lose the ability to freeze people. You lose the ability to isolate those targets. And Eclipse having claimed that so much with Shoni in this lineup, even though we've been talking about Rocket. But he is going to have the Blizzard coming into this next fight.
Oh, he had to use his Wraith immediately after he teleports, and now he has to back up. But Eclipse, they get this huge Orisa ultimate. It gets all 6 of them as they push around that corner. Cryptic and Bubbers take down Unkemp's Lucio and Falcon on Reaper. Modern Lion takes down 9-Volt, though, so they won't have that secondary healing while Cairo takes down Rocket. These are pretty even, clean fights, while Unkempt commits his sound barrier just to help his team push in unmolested. As they go in, they're managing to take down Cryptic Force on Sigma. Overnight Coder takes down Bray, and they're getting very aggressive here to hold this.
Again, the ult tracking comes in. I mean, they come in, they use a very aggressive sound barrier to take the point back, but they already had 2 or 3 kills and the spawn advantage. One that Unkempt is going to want back here in a moment because they're going against 3 ultimates that you ideally want to try to have a sound barrier for at least one of them. You know, Cryptic Force, he has that Flux. Rocket's got the Death Blossom. Shoni Red coming in with the Blizzard, and they don't have an answer for really any of it. And here we go, they're initiating.
Rocket once again forced to use that Wraith to get out. Sigma ults being traded out by both teams. Both tanks caught in that. Rocket gets 1 with it, and the Orisa ult. Bubbers gets Unkempt with his, but Falcon trades his ultimate, and One Last Ride clean it up. Eclipse does not get point C.
Yeah, one that's right. Really picking up the slack there. You know, they didn't have the sound barrier, and I was so worried about that. But they played a very pincer playstyle there. They went up over the high ground. You saw a couple of DPS heroes jumping down in the back. They came in on both the front and the back side of Eclipse, squeezing them together with that two-front attack, and it was the exact answer that they needed because of the very powerful ultimates that Eclipse are coming out with. And, you know, King's Row, not an attack to scoff at whatsoever when it comes to Eclipse. You know, this is one of those maps kind of like Eichenwald or kind of like Gibraltar. It's very normal to see teams kind of stall out here on that last little straight just before point C. So very winnable game for Eclipse, but one last ride. You know, very much improved defense coming out from them so far.
Yeah, they held point A up until almost a minute left, which really helped them in the end when point B was taken. They had that extra time bank to build ults and take fights patiently, really bringing back a lot more of that tempo control that we were talking about in between maps.
Yeah, absolutely. Really just showing Eclipse, you know, they're not going to roll over in this one. They're down 2-0, but, you know, they're a 13-2 team. They've been there before. They understand how to play in these situations. You know, they're in the playoffs. They understand they have a lot of doubters right now because they're that team. They've been so silent. You know, they've silently been one of the best teams in Discord sitting at 13-2. But, you know, some members maybe not as, you know, kind of memey or bantery as a lot of other people. So one last ride, they've been that team that have been a little more quiet. They've been a little more to themselves. They kind of come in, they play, they do their job, they play their game, and then they go and they get back to practicing. So, you know, we're really seeing them rising to the adversity here so far on King's Row.
And one last ride, are going to bring out a Pharah without a Mercy. Really betting that there's not going to be that hit scan on Eclipse, and they were right. But Eclipse, seeing this far with no Mercy, is just barreling into the other 5 members of One Last Ride trying to push in. They do manage to push him around the corner, but have to back up to the point. One Last Ride is now allowed to play this patient game, only committing Sigma Shield to get pushed in, and now the Orisa Shield is down to help their team. Eclipse is getting pushed all the way back around the corner into Hotel. Now the fight is coming out on point. Bubbers, just a super fast Moira ult being built, and now not Unkempt, sorry, Cairo again trades that out. Rocket takes down Falcon though, which allows Shoni Red to take down Telm. There's no shield for them to push behind, and now One Last Ride have to back up or die.
Yeah, that was really the coalescence. It was about a 35 to 40 second coalescence, you know, argue with the fastest building ultimate in the game, and you come in with all of that healing, all of that damage, the AoE, and, you know, it's great for zoning as well. So coming in, just building up that ultimate so quickly, Bubbers understanding the speed, knowing he can get it back. He's already at 50%, Bard! He's already at 50.
Already 50% up. They also have 9Volt, who already has his Lucio ult. Rocket trying to teleport onto Overnight Coder to get this pick, knowing he doesn't have the Mercy. They commit the Mei ultimate and catch no one, but they force them into a space that is less than advantageous for them. But Modern Lion, just whiffing that Sigma ult, gets no one as well. They're just trading ults that aren't being effective. An interesting show of things, to be sure. Overnight Coder still has his ult, but Cryptic on that Sigma is managing to keep his. They commit the beat, the Pharah ult, and the Orisa ult, and Falcon and Overnight Coder managed to clean this up with the help of Talm and Modern Lion. Eclipse is forced back. One Last Ride, take point A.
Yeah, the big thing, there's that 9Volt got denied on the sound barrier. It is the sad life of a Lucio being midway through your sound barrier and getting cut down by a Barrage or a Death Blossom or a Widowmaker headshot. You know, anyone who's played more than 5 minutes of Lucio has been there. I can tell you that right now. But absolutely massive exchange there. And then One Last Ride, they were able to conserve some ultimates. They're going to have 2 coming in this next fight. They're going to have the Coalescence, and they're still going to have that Death Blossom. But Eclipse, they are able to conserve a lot of ultimates themselves. So I would expect them to be able to hold this corner for at least a fight or 2.
Now they start by committing that Orisa ult just to set themselves back up into position without being contested. However, Overnight Coder on Pharah now has a Mercy from Unkempt that is going to play behind him. It's going to give him a lot more damage potential going into this. They commit the Sigma ult, Eclipse put it in, Falcon commits his ult and gets no one. You've got to see more damage from those Reaper ults. However, now Rocket coming in with his ultimate, Overnight Coder and Falcon both taken down, Telm and Modern Lion also taken down, and that's just a wipe for One Last Ride by Eclipse.
And one thing Eclipse have been doing very consistently is that they are starting their engagements with these coalescences, and they are using that to pocket Rocket coming in with that Death Blossom. They've been doing it pretty much the entire time, really adding a lot of healing, and also administering a little more damage to the people that Rocket is trying to kill. And then, hiding up top, gets the kill onto the far, but it's gonna get rezzed.
Unkempt does get the res. That is big. Falcon, who pushed up there also to try and push Rocket off. But now the Blizzard is coming in. Falcon's gone right into it. And once again, Sigma's going to get frozen by it. His shield is up, keeping him alive for now. But Rocket is too kill hungry. He goes right in and takes him down. And One Last Ride is again forced to retreat.
Yeah, and Eclipse, they've been doing this very consistently. They are taking so many early engagements. They're just catching One Last Ride off guard. Look at this aggressive hold. Teams usually do not play that. They play back kind of where they're rotating right now around this bookstore. They're holding right in the choke. They're throwing the Blizzard past the choke and charging them, saying, hey, right now we're playing better. We're going to rush you with this. What are you going to do about
Coder
it?
with the flank ult. The Halt comes in. He gets 5. Overnight Coder single-handedly, with the help of his Mercy and his Orisa, a huge halt from Telm there to put the entire Eclipse team in the same spot. And a quick Q press from Coder wins an entire fight.
And that is what we need to see more of coming out from One Last Ride. Some of these risky plays, you don't have to be meme, you don't gotta be cheesy. Just come in, take a chance or two, really have some intestinal fortitude. They've been playing so safe so far on this mirror matchup, and it hasn't been working out so far. And these are the kind of plays they need.
Rocket teleporting in, trying to contest Coder again. There's still... Oh, Shoni Red, however, actually has swapped to McCree. That's 3 who get caught in the Sigma ult from Modern Lion. Rocket takes down the Orisa ult that came out from Telm, and now Bray uses his, which helps Rocket take down Falcon, and Shoni Red takes down both Overnight Coder and Unkempt and Telm. A quick triple kill with the help of that Orisa ultimate, which damage boosts your DPS to such a huge level.
Yeah, you know, pretty simple combination, you know, big damage boosting combined with good DPS potential equals a lot of damage in a fight win. Shoni Red, very smart swap over to that McCree, not just because of the Pharah, but coming into the situation, having that extra damage, and most importantly, that hard CC with the flashbang really enabled them to get a lot more kills and more damage in that fight.
Yeah, now the fight's starting to come in. Rocket gets a huge first pick onto Falcon. That's a lot of their damage potential taken down now that Overnight Coach has swapped over onto that Mei. How are they going to push into this? They aren't. They're going to back up. They realize they've got enough time to keep this push. That Reaper ult is too important for them not to hold on to. We've got to have Falcon make a big play with it now. Rocket and Cryptic Force on the other side, however, that's Sigma Reaper combo, and Shoni Red's coming up on that McCree ultimate. Could be big. Overnight Coder gets a huge wall in, and then the Halt stops the team, but Rocket takes down Unkempt and Modern Lion, and now ults, but Shoni Red with 3 on the McCree ultimate. It looks like Eclipse have cleaned it up and taken map 3.
Yeah, it was such a bad pick. I mean, typically losing one like that in a fight like that isn't a huge deal, but knowing you only have one fight left, since they had to wait for their other DPS to come back after getting picked by Rocket, it made it very telegraphed as to what they were going to do. You know, they maybe could have tried to come in and force Eclipse to maybe want to hold on to an ultimate or two, but now because they knew it was one final fight, because of the time they were able to burn by getting that kill from Rocket, they were able to just dump all of their ultimates onto the heads of One Last Ride and win it fairly easily.
He really... All right. Oh. Well, Falcon apparently taking that 1v1 with Rocket when he got staggered over there and died instantly. Rocket really seems to be getting the better of the Reaper gameplay over anyone on One Last Ride. Falcon had some big plays on both tank and on that Reaper that he was playing. But didn't seem to be able to clean it up very well when things came down to it against Rocket. We are going to take a quick halftime break. I have been Bard, Vila has been joining me on Analyst, and J-Star will be joining us on Desk when we come back to talk about this match and the implications that it might have going forward. We will see you all in just a few minutes. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Tranquility. We're going to have a brief breakdown of these last few maps with J-Star over on desk. J-Star, what do you got for us?
All right, definitely a lot of improvements coming out from the side of One Last Ride. They definitely looked a lot more solid. They were definitely ult tracking a lot more. They were definitely combining the ults that they needed to combine. And that ultimately almost paid the dividend for them. Unfortunately, they did not get it, but they are definitely making strides. But from the side of Eclipse, Shoney Red pulling out some huge McCree plays. He was ultimately the one that won them those final 2 pushes on the second point of that map of King's Row, because he was able to get some huge value out of his ults and just being able to click heads. So definitely going into the second half can be very interesting what goes on, guys.
Totally. Either of these teams, J-Star?
Going into Rialto is definitely a map that a lot of different strats can be pulled out with. Definitely, I would not be surprised if we saw a Pharah from both sides, or whether I know Rocket likes to play Bastion, so definitely an option from the side of Eclipse. Honestly, both sides could pull out a bunker comp, just bunker up on the cart, and just kind of ride things out.
Yeah, that would be interesting. We haven't seen a lot of bunkers so far. Both teams have really wanted to get in their face and brawl. We've seen Overnight Coder not afraid to pick up that Pharah. Any last thoughts before we jump in here?
I don't really have anything. Vila, you got anything?
No, I couldn't agree more with what you're saying. I think the support play has been fantastic on both sides. A couple questionable ultimates, but when you're playing in comps that involve, a Sigma and a Reaper and a Mei and so many, strong, damaging ultimates that you need a defensive ultimate for, you're going to see that every now and then. So it's not the biggest deal in the world. The tank play has been fine on both sides. Again, particularly coming out of Eclipse. I think that's been the decision maker to me anyway. It's really just Bray with those pulls and with that shield management, Cryptic with the shield management and his placement, as well as his accretion usage compared to the off tanks being played on One Last Ride. That's really been the difference maker in my mind.
Yeah, and we've talked about Rocket a lot so far, but his Reaper has looked uncontested, really. One Last Ride's gonna have to find a way around that, whether it's deciding to run a Mei, whether it's bunkering up. We're just gonna have to see. That being said, it looks like Overnight Coder is going to start on this Hanzo. That's a lot of burst potential. Falcon is staying in on Reaper, not on tank. So Telm and Modern Lion are going to keep running that Orisa Sigma comp. And Cairo is staying in with Unkempt for support, unlike without Poet. Do you think Hanzo's going to be a difference maker?
Oh yeah, very strong shield break. He got a lot of burst damage. He played kind of up close and get on the high ground, fire at a distance. I really do like this comp coming out from One Last Ride. You have a little bit big pull coming out so far from Telm.
Yeah, they're coming up to this first corner. One Last Ride deciding to contest the corner and not the cart itself from the start. I think that's a really good play, the way that Rocket has been teleporting in the back, and now they're just managing to use their shields effectively to hold this corner. Some big halts coming out of here from Telm. Some stuns coming out from both Sigmas. None of them have been capitalized on as of yet. Overnight Coder being forced to play back. Rocket with that teleport in the back. He gets Overnight Coder. That's another huge pick. They aren't stopping it. Shoney Red takes down Telm, and now One Last Ride is being bowled into. Can they get out of here? No, Unkempt gets taken down, and Falcon is now stuck using Wraith to get out. Can he escape? I don't know if he can. He gets that teleport, and he makes it across to his team safe.
Yeah, once again, it really comes out from the shield cycling coming from Eclipse, and then Rocket again on another flank. He's been doing it all night to One Last Ride.
Coder has swapped back over. Both Moiras using their ultimate abilities. Shoney already had her ult, but takes down Cairo. Unkempt taken down by Bubbers. Moira ult. Overnight Coder takes down 9-Volt. They don't have that Lucio healing, but there's no healing for the side of One Last Ride, so Shoney Red and Rocket can clean up the remaining heroes. This is just looking like a clean domination from Eclipse again.
Yeah, and once again, we see Bubbers, comboing that Coalescence with another ultimate. This time it was Shoney Red on that Deadeye. They popped the Deadeye's, Coalescences simultaneously, and then pocketing Shoney to be able to get a kill on that Deadeye, shutting the fight down before it even began.
Yeah, just big plays overall. from both sides, but it's just bigger plays coming out from Eclipse, and I think that really sums up the night so far. One Last Ride is forced to set up so far back, and Rocket has this high ground to play with. It's just a huge, just a playground for him, it seems. Falcon is up there looking to contest, but Rocket, both of them forced to use their Wraith straight away. Two caught in that Sigma ult, and Unkempt ends up getting taken down as a result of it. Falcon and Overnight Coder team up and get 3 big picks with Cairo, who commits their ult as well to take down the other 2. That Moira ult used simply to secure that point. Close fight.
Oh, very. I mean, it looked like One Last Ride were just dead in the water, just dead to rights. But Falcon, taking a page out of Rocket's book, coming in on that flanking Reaper, jumping in with the Death Blossom, taking advantage of, the confidence of Eclipse, saying they already had the fight won, got caught napping a little bit there, but they are engaging with the Supercharger.
They used that Orisa ult, and now both teams have used the Orisa ult. An early sound barrier coming out from Unkempt, but they are managing to push their way up and get that positioning. But Rocket, they don't have the sound barrier to stop it anymore. He uses his ult, he gets 3 big picks. Bubbers and Bray help clean up, and Eclipse, they're gonna take point B.
Yeah, it's another ultimate coming out from the side of One Last Ride that many might consider to be questionable. Using it basically just for the Supercharger coming out from Bray, which, somewhat understandable considering they're in a long straight, don't have a lot of cover. But then Rocket, like you said, the ult tracking is strong, the game sense is strong. Just comes out, immediately says, okay, you're going to waste your sound barrier, that's fine. I'm just going to jump in with Death Blossom. Now what are you going to do? And they're able to get the fight win.
Yeah, he really did a great job to track Overnight Coder's flashbang as well, knowing he didn't have it, so he could ult right on top of him. Cairo gets that Moira ultimate, the Coalescence, and immediately commits it to come in here. The flashbang comes out from Overnight Coder, but doesn't get anything. Shoney Red takes down 2, a big ultimate from him, and Cryptic Force takes down Overnight Coder. Rocket helps clean up Telm. One Last Ride, they look like they have no answer for anything Eclipse is doing.
Yeah, we've been calling out Rocket's name all night, but let's call out Shoney right there. He got a big flashbang onto Modern Lion, got caught overstepping a little bit, got the kill, and then got the Deadeye. And now they're only 1 fight away here.
And One Last Ride hasn't been touching. They have this Hammond. 4 people get caught in the Sigma ult. That's huge. Modern Lion and Overnight Coder get taken down by the members of Eclipse. Rocket has continued to dominate all night, takes down Falcon. Shoney Red, he takes down Cairo. And Eclipse take it with 3.5 minutes left.
Yeah, great ult tracking coming out from the side of Eclipse. They knew the Sigma Flex was coming. It had been held for so long. 9-volt saving the sound barrier coming out. 100 amps all to the side of Eclipse, being able to survive that Sigma Flux. And they're able to deliver it. And with 3:26 left in the bank, no less.
Yeah, this is a huge time bank for them. We saw big time banks on Volskaya go back and forth, but One Last Ride haven't looked as good as they looked on Volskaya on any of their maps. And they lost Volskaya, so how are they going to do this?
I don't know, but we're going to see them going onto their attack, which is, tonight, what they've been doing a little better at on the side of One Last Ride. So I don't expect them to go down easy right now. We saw them fight back on every map. I expect the same thing. The series is not lost at all. They've been doing a significantly better job on the attack as opposed to the defense. So, so far, we see the Junkrat and Doomfist. Not sure if they're going to stay on this. I would not be surprised if they did. The Junkrat has been pretty big for them, even though the win-loss would not say so. But let's just see what they decide to stick with coming out here.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see Cairo on this brig. We've talked about how Rocket's been able to move into their backline uncontested. That brig stun, along with the hook from Telm's Roadhog, could be pretty big at shutting Rocket down. And if they could shut Rocket down, I think they have a pretty good path forward going through this. Teams never fight harder than when they're back to the wall. So we'll have to see how they do this. They are keeping the Doomfist Junkrat, pretty much the same comp that we thought they would have. A big halt pull. Oh, Cryptic Force dies, but Telm also gets taken down, pulled off the map by Bray. Big changes, but One Last Ride has the spawn advantage, so they are managing to push to this corner, and Unkempt, Overnight Coder, and Falcon all get 3 big picks. They're staying in this. They refuse to accept a defeat here. And now Moira, for the side of Eclipse, is forced to retreat, almost gets taken down, but uses those abilities perfectly to get out of there.
Yeah, we've been talking about the hooks, the hulks coming out from Bray the entire time, but Modern Lion, 2 big ones back to back, setting up the halt for the hook off the map, then setting up the halt for Falcon's punch coming in, dealing so much burst damage, really showing his strength on Orisa right now.
Yeah, it looks like a pretty even speed-wise, these pushes, but Shoni Red has now swapped to Pharah, the Pharmacy, putting damage down, gonna stop that Junkrat. They take down Cairo, who's been looking to stop Rocket. Overnight Coder gets taken down by Rocket, who's been given this space by his Pharah, who takes down Modern Lion trying to escape, and they get the res. A clean fight from Eclipse.
Yeah, very intelligent decision right there. They see that DPS coming out from the side of One Last Ride are a Doomfist and Junkrat. They decided to go right to the Pharah. That's a pretty open area. And then just off of that fight, it was only like 25 seconds, and they're already at 52%.
Yeah, really big coming into that. Unkempt, gonna have the only ult coming into this with that Moira ult. He's been building them really quickly. Rocket, again, looking just to come behind them, put damage in, but Overnight Coder swapped to McGree. He takes down Shoni Red. They're gonna go for the resurrection. Cryptic Force takes down Falcon before he can take out the Mercy, and now Rocket and Shoni are gonna clean up the rest of One Last Ride. That was huge from Cryptic Force to keep his Mercy up and get that res.
Buzz, buzz, buzz. We've been talking about it all night long. The ability to kind of peel on that Sigma, putting the shields exactly where they need to be. It looked like Falcon was going to have 9-Volt dead to rights, and the team, especially led by Cryptic, are able to keep their Mercy alive, get that res, and they're able to win the fight. And now they're going to have the barrage coming in this next fight, which is massive here, Bart.
It's going to be a big ult, and they also have the Sigma and Reaper combo that they can put in there. They get that ult, 4 trapped in it, no kills yet, but Shoni Red commits the ult, takes down 3, Cryptic Force cleans up that 4th pick on the Cairo, and now Eclipse look like they're a completely different team than the team that One Last Ride rolled coming out of that attack. They've just adapted so much better.
Absolutely. The Pharah still paying dividends for this team on the defense so far. We saw another great halt coming in from Bray to set up that barrage. And then if you look at the comp of One Last Ride, a big thing, they do not have a defensive ultimate. So there was nothing they could do.
Now they're pushing in Rocket again, playing in that high ground up above. A good pull to get him off that by Modern Lion, and they commit 2 big ults. Falcon takes down Shoni Red, and 9-Volt gets taken out by Overnight Coder. No res on that Pharah. They're going to push in now with this bonus damage. Falcon, he's really looking to get in there and take those tanks down. He does end up getting Bray. Telm with a big pick on the Bubbers, and it's just Rocket left as Cryptic Force gets taken down by Telm. Rocket, there he goes down to Unkempt, but he gives time for the May from Shoni Red to come back after that swap. Lucio comes back as well from 9-Volt, but they both get taken down. One Last Ride have secured themselves a chance to keep pushing this payload.
Absolutely. The biggest thing I want to note right now is that, they swapped to the Brigida, like you said. They have the McCree, which came out later on for the Pharah. But you have to talk about the Brig mostly coming out to try to kill Rocket on that Reaper with the flanking playstyle. But look, Shoni's saying, hey, I can be a big carry hero on this team as well, coming out on that Pharah.
Overnight Coder commits the ult and just gets taken down by Bray. Really questionable positioning there from him. Rocket ults but gets booped away, gets nothing. A huge pull from Modern Lion as well to keep him down. Telm's keeping them in there. They take down Rocket. And now the Moira ult is going to be put in from both teams. This dueling Moiras we've seen all game. So the Blizzard is forced to be committed while these even trades are going on. But Modern Lion stays up. Overnight Coder takes down Bubbers. 9-Volt takes down Telm, but they don't have either heals for Eclipse. Falcon uses his ult just to get some damage on these tanks while he takes both of them down with his normal attack. Rocket, he came in from that high ground, trying to see if he could pull off the shenanigans he's been going for all game, but he gets taken down by Falcon.
Yeah, I really thought Eclipse were going to have it dead to rights so far. I mean, they came in right at the beginning of that fight, Overnight Coder, investing that Deadeye, but being pretty much the front line of the team. He was way too far up using that Deadeye, so he got punished immediately with no value. But One Last Ride, they're able to storm back.
Oh, the Sigma ult comes in. They get 3, but one wraiths out of it, the Reaper, but Cairo gets taken down by Rocket from behind. Rocket cleaning up again with the help of Cryptic and Shoni Red. One Last Ride look lost again. All it took was one fight.
Oh, well, the Eclipse are just doing a very good job playing the ult economy. They were just kind of coming in, letting the ultimates come out on the side of One Last Ride. They were able to get the Death Blossom out. They were able to get the Deadeye out and the Coalescence out last fight. And so then they came with the ult economy. They dumped those ultimates in on them, and they were able to maintain. And now it's going to be 45 seconds left, only a couple of pushes left, and they're going to be coming up in the sound barrier, and they have the supercharger here.
They're going to push in for this fight. Falcon forced to Wraith to get out. The Maywall's used early, but Shoney Red capitalizes on it to take down Modern Lion. They try to freeze Overnight Coder out of his ult. Instead, they force him to use it with no casualties, but he takes down Shoney Red, who was forced to use their ice block. Rocket takes down Falcon with an ult, but Overnight Coder in the backline taking down 9-Volt, but he gets taken down by Bubbers, and now there's 20 seconds for One Last Ride to regroup and get in there.
Yeah, 9-Volt gets taken off the table, but they're getting aggressive. They don't want to let him come back. These stagger kills are coming in. So clutch on the side of Eclipse.
Rocket knows what he has to do. Bubbers as well. Falcon takes down Bubbers, but will he have time to touch the point? Only if he has a teleport. His teleport goes off. He doesn't touch the point. They're in overtime, but he's alone in a 1 versus 5. Now it's Overnight Coder. They commit the Blizzard just for good measure, but Eclipse has won the match 4-0.
Yeah, that last fight. It all started with Shoney Red. The Coder coming in with another Deadeye. Shoney making a brilliant play, jumping right in his face when he went to go pull the trigger, using that ice block, paid with his life, but saving the rest of his team, and then allowing the rest of his team to come in with their ultimates, their abilities, and storm that fight back. And they played it so intelligent. They didn't let them get away. They didn't let them get back to regroup to come back with one last fight. They kept going in a little bit risky, but hey, you know what some people say, you got to risk it for the biscuit. They went in with those stagger kills, and it came up so clutch for them, and that's what helped them secure the 4-0.
Yeah, just a really interesting match. Both teams, I think, expected a bit more resistance coming out of One Last Ride, but Eclipse, like we've been saying, they controlled the pace of the map, they just read the enemy team better, and they just performed better overall. Got anything for us on that, J-Star?
Eclipse just straight up handled that match the way they needed to. They knew that when they played aggressive, when they punished the mistakes of One Last Ride, that was their opportunity to try to win that. Definitely some huge plays. The tank play was just straight up better from the side of Eclipse. Eclipse taking advantage of the mistakes, and that's what ultimately led them that game. Cryptic Force carried that whole first point, that defense, denying a lot of the damage that One Last Ride was trying to throw at him. And when One Last Ride tried to counter Rocket, Eclipse just straight up said, okay, we'll counter what you're trying to do to us. And that's exactly what they did, and that's what helped them secure that victory.
Yeah, a big win. Like we said, this was the last quarterfinal game of Discord playoffs. We'll have to see. I believe the quarterfinals are also finished for Tranquility. So I imagine tomorrow night at 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific, the Iris podcast is going to be breaking down some of these games and determining, making some picks, seeing who they think is going to make it through these semifinals into the finals. That's all for us tonight. I have been Bard. I've been joined by Vila on Analyst and J-Star on the desk. We will see you guys in the next match or podcast. Thanks for joining us and have a wonderful evening.